Guys, would you rather be bald, not that there's anything wrong with that, or have a full head of hair? There is a reason why millions of men and women have come to Bosley, America's #1 hair restoration experts, with their hair loss and hair restoration questions. With 45 years of experience and over 430,000 hair restoration procedures performed, there's a reason why people trust Bosley. If you're suffering from hair loss or worried about losing your hair, check out bosley.com/Chael. Remember, the sooner you take action, the more options you'll have for keeping and restoring your hair. Bosley has both surgical and non-surgical solutions to help you keep the hair that you have and grow thicker, fuller hair where you need it most. Don't wait. Get the information you need at bosley.com/Chael and learn what you can be doing to keep or grow your hair. Right now, Bosley is giving away a free information kit and $250 gift cards towards a procedure. That's bosley.com/Chael, or just click on the link below. Justin Gaethje was doing an interview with BT Sport, and they were asking him about Conor McGregor. They said, hey, look, the Notorious is coming back. Red Panty Night is a real thing. As a matter of fact, Oliveira's already said he would rather have Red Panty Night than defend against you. What do you think, and what's your level of anxiety that Conor McGregor is going to come in, leapfrog you, and be fighting Oliveira? Now, Gaethje was very quick and to the point. He said, the only one keeping this alive is people like you that won't quit asking me that question. Conor is irrelevant. He's hurt. He has no license. Oliveira and I are fighting next, and I even would like to go fight him in Brazil on May 7th. Now, my very first thought when I saw this interview is I'm watching an old interview. This was sent to me from somebody, and I thought, okay, this is an old interview. And the reason I thought that is at least 2 weeks ago, and maybe closer to 3, it was announced that Oliveira and Gaethje have agreed in principle, hadn't signed bout sheets yet, but they had agreed in principle to a fight. Now, of course, the #1 contender is going to fight the champion. Of course, they can go and agree to it. When you speak about on this level and to principle, you've even got a date set. The dates all have venues for the next 12 months. So to find out that Gaethje is still talking about Oliveira, and Gaethje even tried to sweeten the pot. Gaethje does not have that fight, apparently, because he tried to sweeten the pot by saying, I'll do it in Brazil. And the only reason Gaethje would say, unless he just wasn't thinking, which is possible, the only reason he would say that is if he's not positive he's got it, and he's trying to sweeten things a little bit. Wouldn't you care where the fight was going to be? What difference does that make? The fight's going to be in the octagon. But maybe Gaethje does think that it matters, and maybe Oliveira hasn't come around quite so fast. And if Oliveira is holding out for any reason, even for what was alluded to in this particular case, to fight Conor McGregor, right, you see where Gaethje's in a tough spot. Most likely, I am drawing a conclusion that is way more advanced and sophisticated than Gaethje ever thought of. Most likely, he just said, I'm going to fight Oliveira, and I don't even care where it is. I'll even go to Brazil. Most likely, it was that. But there is the other side to it, because Gaethje would be privy to inside information that we don't have. He'd be privy to information that interviewer did not have. And it would appear that Gaethje isn't positive he's got this fight. He threw out a date of May 7th, but he checked the calendar. May 7th happens to be in Brazil. So, you see what I'm saying here? Like, this was a very peculiar interview, to the point that I really did think I'm seeing an interview that's old and just getting surfaced to me, because it had already been announced on the dirt sheets that Oliveira and Gaethje had agreed to fight. And when I read that, I remember saying, April. I apologize, that it was going to be in May. So everything lined up here, except all of a sudden they're talking about Conor coming in leapfrogging. And all of a sudden Gaethje's throwing down a little extra negotiation to try to get what he wants, which is the fight. So, final conclusion, apparently Gaethje versus Oliveira is not done. And I'll tell you, no topic in the last week has surprised me more for the ripple, for the crickets, as the statement that was made by Dana White that Conor McGregor is expected to be back in summer. Generally, Conor himself would light a fire around that spark. Generally, all sorts of guys would be coming out of the woodwork, calling for him. And everybody's wide open. Even if you go on the policy that whoever lost their last fight is going to fight guys that fought their last fight, that opens the door to all sorts. Now, all of a sudden, Chandler is in there. I mean, you've got some real meaningful guys. Tony Ferguson is in the mix. We're all led to believe, and I personally tend to be of the school of thought, that it's going to be between Diaz and Poirier. That's what I personally believe. Because I personally thought we like to do these redos. Conor was calling out Dustin nonstop. We all understand that Diaz versus Conor appears to be the trilogy that we must make, and maybe now is the only time. So that's the reason I'm kind of hedging on those two. But I get a little bit of water thrown on that idea when we then get revealed that Diaz and Poirier are in fact going to fight themselves, fight each other. Because if that's going to happen, the calendar's all got to make sense. Diaz will be free of a contract. Poirier will be available when Conor's coming back, which means Poirier's got a recovery time. You can't have Conor in summer. Conor being eligible to fight in the summer is not the same thing as Conor having an opponent to fight in the summer. So now we're talking about the end of the year. If it is, in fact, going to be either Dustin or Nate, which if they fight each other, Nate is now up the board. I guess it's Conor. I mean, you see where you throw your hands up? I don't know what in the hell's going on here. And we never really know in MMA, but we have a good idea of where to point. And I do remember when Dana made this statement that, hey, I expect Conor back by summer. I thought Conor would be beating down the doors. He'd be going after people. He'd be calling people out. It was a pay-per-view. Conor loves to come in on social media of the night of pay-per-views to the point that at press conferences, questions are coming about Conor, who's not even in attendance, who did not even compete that. Conor steals the show. He's a master of it. Been doing it for a meaningful period of time. This one's been very quiet. Why would Gaethje want to go to Brazil to fight? Why? If that's supposedly an advantage for your opponent, why would you give your opponent any advantage? My guess, if I was doing it, I got to follow the golden rule here. Put myself in somebody else's shoes. What would I do? My guess is that fight's not done. Oliveira is looking in other directions. Oliveira is playing a little bit hard to get. Gaethje wants to get the show on the road. He wants to sweeten the pot, and that's why he offered to do it in Brazil.